It's July 4th, 1776, and King George III of England reports in his diary, "Nothing of importance on this day, but back at the farm in America, Thomas Jefferson has just presented the first draft of the Declaration of Independence to the Continental Congress." Colonial Americans had for a long time been enraged by their relationship with Britain. They chanted, "No taxation without representation," and they despised the presence of the redcoats and often taunted them, which led to the Boston Massacre. They boycotted the trade restrictions that had been placed on them in large-scale protests such as the Boston Tea Party. So after years of oppression, the First Continental Congress met in 1774 for the purpose of requesting more rights from the King of England. The most notable of these men were George Washington, Patrick Henry, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and John Hancock, whose signature you can't miss. It's important to note that these men initially had no desire to declare independence from Britain, but after being continually shot down by the king, they decided to revolt and draft their own Declaration of Independence. In 1776, widespread colonist favor was won over by Thomas Paine's Common Sense, a pamphlet which informed common people, not just the elite, of the benefits of declaring independence, rather than trying to bargain with the King of England. The first draft of the Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson, who wanted to prove our America had a right to be independent and govern itself. He, like many others in that time, was inspired by the ideas of the Enlightenment. And years later, in a letter to Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson explained that the purpose of his document was, quote, "not to find out new principles or new arguments, but to place before mankind the common sense of the subject in terms so plain and firm as to command their assent, and to justify ourselves in the independent stand that we are compelled to take." End quote. This suggests that he felt like the rights they were fighting for weren't specific to Americans or self-seeking, but universal and God-given. So after some light editing, the document was adopted by a unanimous vote and signed on July 4, 1776, although some signed on August 2nd, and some even signed it in November. Obviously, Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence had a huge immediate impact on the colonies in America, but it has also been echoed internationally in many revolutions, including Africa, Asia, Latin America, and most directly France, who modeled their Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen after our Declaration of Independence. Close to home, though, Elizabeth Stanton from the United States used it to form the Declaration of Sentiments in 1848, which in a way used the relationship between colonists and Britain as an analogy for how women felt about their relationship to men. Today, the original signed copy of the Declaration of Independence is on display at the National Archives, where tourists can see the document that formed our country. It defines many aspects of our country's principles, which we are still striving toward today. Many civil rights advocates still quote this document today to argue their cases. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.